Hello and welcome to COVID Conversations here on WNCU 90.7 FM, on YouTube, on Facebook, and Instagram. I'm your host, Kimberley Cartwright. I'm the News and Public Affairs Director at WNCU 90.7 FM, and we're using this Zoom platform to talk about how COVID-19 is affecting our world. And as the world continues to adjust to living during COVID-19, North Carolina Central University's Virtual Justice Project from the law school continues to innovate to help people understand their rights and to make inroads in helping give people information about COVID-19 related issues. And I am so lucky today. Joining me to talk about the Virtual Justice Project at the law school is Greg Clinton. Now, he is the director of information technology at the law school, and he is the co-founder of the Virtual Justice Project. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Kimberly. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
You're welcome. Okay, I was interested to talk with you about the Virtual Justice Project and Telehealth Tuesdays, and how Telehealth Tuesday speaks to many COVID-related issues. But I want to talk about the Virtual Justice Project too, because I looked at information about it, and it just has so many phalanges and just so many directions and so many connections in the community. And I wanted to talk about that and make sure that people understand what's going on and then how they may be able to take advantage of what you do. So first of all, what is the Virtual Justice Project and how did it come into being?
That's a very good question. I'm always glad when people ask me about the Virtual Justice Project, because then it gives me an opportunity to talk about how we got started and where we are. When I first started at the law school in 1998, we had one of the worst technology programs of any law school in the country. And then we had one of the best clinical legal education programs in the country. We were doing clinical legal education before it became popular amongst law schools. So we built a strong technology program where over 95% of our faculty were using technology for instructional purposes. And our clinic continued to grow and expand. So in 2008, I started thinking about distance education. And one of the things we in the practice of law and the study of law, you have to be in an environment where you mimic what occurs in real life. You want to be able to see confusion in a person's face. You want to see the body language. You want to see the non-verbal signals. So we've always looked at distance ed, and the only thing that was available at that time was asynchronous distance education. So we wanted to wait until the technology became strong enough and stable enough to do or mimic a synchronous environment, whereas it mimics real life. So in 2009, the Obama administration, under the stimulus plan, created a broadband technology opportunities program. And the BTOP program was designed to do three things. The first thing was to create broadband infrastructure all over the country. The second was to create public computing spaces. And the third was to create sustainable broadband adoption projects. So what we decided to do is to mirror our clinical legal education and our technology to come together to create the Virtual Justice Project. Now, we applied for the grant to do two things and ended up doing three. The two things that we applied to do, we were first trying to create a pipeline of students coming to law school so they can do well in law school. So we create two virtual pre-law courses, the legal writing course and the first year experience course. Those two courses are offered synchronously through our platform to students at HBCUs and other schools throughout the country. And our goal was to strengthen their ability to do well in law school. And whether they came to our law school or some other law school, we just wanted them to do well. And the second thing we were interested in doing was creating what we call the Know Your Rights series. Now, the Know Your Rights series are informational sessions on what your rights are in certain aspects of the law. And that's designed to help people to understand what their rights are so they can do self-advocacy. So the way we did that was that, and this is 2010 now. In 2010, Zoom did not exist. So some of these platforms that we enjoy now did not exist. So we were the pioneers of tele law. Most people understand telehealth, but we were the pioneers of telelaw. So we put a telepresence room here at NCCU and put many telepresence rooms at 4 other HBCUs, A&T, Winston-Salem State, Fayetteville State, and Elizabeth State University, and then put mobile video conferencing carts at all the legal aid offices across the state. Since that time, we've gotten a series of grants to expand our reach just from those locations to public libraries and churches and locations throughout North Carolina, to the point that by the year of 2022, we will be in all 100 counties in North Carolina, in addition to about 10 locations in South Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas.
Wow. So it sounds really very exciting. So what are some of the innovations in technology that allowed this project to be possible?
Well, like I said, it's 2008, 2009. Zoom didn't exist, and some of these platforms that we have now didn't exist. The infrastructure with the Broadband Technology Opportunity Grant allowed for this to occur. In order to do what we're doing now, you have to have stable broadband wherever you are. So the infrastructure across the country created that stable broadband application. Now, prior to Zoom, most video conferencing systems were systems. So they were based on hardware and a little software. But the hardware is what made the connections what made the connections possible. But now that you have these soft clients, which are Zoom is a soft client, WebEx is a soft client, GoToMeeting is a soft client. All these soft clients allow for you to use your mobile device, your iPhone, your laptop, your tablet, anything to connect to these calls. So the technology has become stable from the broadband standpoint, and the technology has become stable from the hardware standpoint. So the two of those come together allows for us to have these type of sessions.
So I want to talk about virtual justice and COVID-19 and marrying of your being able to offer information about COVID-19 to people who live in the community. So how did that come about, and what are the partnerships that make it possible?
Again, very good questions. What happened in one of our USDA grants? USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, has a Rural Utility Service Distance Learning and Telemedicine grant. So on one of the grants that we applied for, we add a component of telehealth. So from our Department of Behavioral Health from the university, Dr. Saranda Robinson is the chair of that department. She has been our go-to person for telehealth. So telehealth Tuesdays is what we do now. So every Tuesdays from 10:40 to 11:40, there's a telehealth session. It's interesting and ironic that a year ago, prior to the pandemic, Dr. Robinson had a telehealth presentation on COVID-19. So before the pandemic occurred, she did a telehealth session on COVID-19. And then when COVID-19 occurred, we continued to do our telehealth sessions on Tuesdays. And lately, we've been doing a lot of telehealth sessions about what's going on in the industry, as well as we're actually about to do one with the university that talks about the vaccine. A lot of people have contacted us now to offer additional programming. We're doing a program tonight on the ABCs of COVID. We've done a series of COVID-related programs so people understand what COVID is, the concerns you may have. And then on the other end, we're talking a lot to other schools and other institutions about how to navigate being in a virtual space, how to handle being sheltered in place, and how to deal with all these virtual meetings. We're really we feel sad about why we're in this space, but we also understand there's an opportunity in this space to help a lot of people get information to them. Some of our partners include the HBCU Library Alliance, some public libraries, some other HBCUs. We have partnerships with different departments. So our partnership list is pretty extensive. We have partnerships with vendors who work with us to assist us with letting us know what's the latest technologies available and how to do this more seamlessly. So we have a host of partners.
So how is this being received? What do people think about it?
Well, they have mixed emotions. I tell you a story. There was a person on my team who was having a child custody issue, and she's known about virtual justice projects since 2010. But when she was having that issue, she just went to one of our Know Your Rights series on child custody, and she was like, "Wow, this is great! This is awesome!" So those who attend get a wealth of information, and they spread the word. We have our numbers are not reflective of our capacity, but the people do attend. They come back with a wealth of information. I'm constantly reminded of how many people we do help, and we have not done a great job in keeping track of those people, but because our focus has not been how many people we serve, our focus being available to serve people. So in some of these situations, if we had 20 to 100 or 1,000 people in a session, we're still concerned about that session being the best information possible that you can find in the market.
Yeah, because that was one of my questions, like how many people were you reaching with the project? And how do people then, because you answered that, how do people access the sessions? Do they show up at libraries? Can you get it if you're at home? How does that happen?
Well, prior to COVID, people would show up at the libraries in rural areas because a lot of these libraries are in rural areas. In some cases, the population is less than 1,000 or less than 5,000. So one or two people may show up at a library, and the technology we use telepresence and HD video conferencing in our telepresence room. That telepresence room is an RPX 418. It stands for Real Presence Experience. Have 4 screens in the room and seats 18 people within the room. So on each of those screens, we're able to connect 25 locations. So within our telepresence room, we're able to connect up to 100 locations at one time. So people will go to the various libraries, churches, or from home and connect to our sessions. The largest session we've ever had was around, I want to say around 480 people to attend, and so across multiple locations. And then that's from the Know Your Rights series. Now, what we've done in this space also, we last year when everything went virtual, we held a graduation for the law school from our telepresence room, and we had about 900 people to attend that session.
Amazing. I'm going to go back to COVID-19. So when you think about COVID-19, you don't necessarily think about justice issues. So how do the two come together in making these presentations and the offerings?
Well, it's part of our telehealth series because we do telehealth, we do economic empowerment, we do financial literacy, and we do, of course, the legal issues around justice. Now, we tend to think that justice is more than just law. And, there's health disparities that occur. There's justice issues in environmental law. There's in the environment, economics. So COVID is another one of those areas where that has disproportionately affected people of color. So, and we'll start doing more sessions on the vaccine and the concerns around that. This is a natural progression for the Virtual Justice Project to give information about COVID, whether it's the ABCs of it, how to minimize your risk of it, what to do for getting your vaccine, where to go. We're available to try to help disseminate information. Information is critical because sometimes you do get a lot of misinformation. And we try to make sure we have experts in the areas that give that information. Someone reached out to us before and asked us to do a couple of sessions on COVID that we turned down only because we could not stand by the content. So we want to make sure that the content that's presented is the most accurate and it's coming from authorities. So we will always continue to have programs based around the issues, but we want people who are the authorities in those areas. Um, uh, we were recently approached by a group that wants to do a program on the vaccine itself. And one of the persons who worked on the vaccine is wanted to be a part of that proposal, a part of that panel. So we will entertain that. So our preference now and going forward, because we also have to prepare for beyond COVID now and COVID a year from now. It's almost like the flu. Every year you get your flu shot and you always prepare for the flu. I think COVID is here for a while, so we need to always prepare for it and keep people at the forefront of their minds, thinking about washing their hands, social distancing, and keeping on the mask.
So if anyone was interested in the Virtual Justice Project or they wanted more information about your telehealth, then what is it they would need to do? What would they need to do?
They would go to our website. Our website is law.nccu.edu/VJP. And on that website, you'll see at the bottom of the website all our upcoming events. And you can just click on those events and you can just be a part of those sessions. We do this semester, I think we have telehealth sessions going on now until April every week. So every Tuesday. So you'll see that listing on our website. And as those, once those expire, we will add additional ones for the summer and for the fall.
Okay. Is there anything that I didn't ask that you'd like for people to know?
Well, I always take this moment to just brag about NCCU and where we are with this technology. When most law schools were scrambling to decide what to do last March about virtual education, the law school, we seamlessly transitioned to the virtual space because we've been using Zoom since 2015. And in fact, Zoom did a case study on us in November and December of last year before COVID occurred in 2019 on how we use Zoom to solve problems because we've been using it for a long time. So one of the things when I was talking earlier, I said there was two things that the Virtual Justice Project was designed to do. We ended up doing the third. The third thing was that we started doing synchronous distance education using telepresence and HD video conferencing. So we're able to teach all our classes. So prior to the pandemic, every classroom in the law school had a virtual option. So when we had inclement weather, the classes automatically became a virtual option. And so if you had torts at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday, you still had torts at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday. It's just opposed to in a brick and mortar format, it was in a virtual format. So we pride ourselves on being at the forefront of technology. And I'm really pleased with how the faculty, because technology doesn't mean anything if you don't have a use for it. So from my end, I've never been interested in just having technology. I always want to have technology that gives the best results for a problem that you have. And that's the best usage of technology.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming in. And our guest has been Greg Clinton, Director of Information Technology at North Carolina Central University's Law School. And he's also the co-founder of the Virtual Justice Project. Thank you, sir, for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So glad to have you. And thank you, audience, for watching via Facebook or YouTube, Instagram, wherever you are, as well as listening to WNCU 90.7 FM. Be sure to like us and follow us and subscribe to our pages for more archived shows. I'm Kimberley Pierce Cartwright, your host for COVID Conversations. Until next time.